A video of a meteorologist created quite the controversy on social media because people believed that she was forced to put on a sweater in the middle of her forecast. Okay, take a look.
Even into tomorrow. What's going on? You want me to put this on? Why? Because it's cold?
I'm getting a lot of emails.
What?
There you go.
Really?
There you go.
Okay.
That's nice.
I look like a librarian now.
That works.
Okay, so they then talked about the fact that she got all these emails of people, slamming her attire, saying that she wasn't dressed appropriately in so many words. They said much more vicious things than that. Then when that happened, then people on Twitter were defending her, saying, that this is horrible behavior. How could KTLA shame her that way? So now here's an update to that story. She actually posted, Liberty Chan is her name, she posted to her blog and she said, quote, "For the record, I was not ordered by KTLA to put on the sweater. I was simply playing along with my co-anchor's joke, and if you've ever watched the morning show, you know we poke fun at each other all the time. Since talking to my team, I want our viewers to know it was never our intention to offend anyone. We are friends on and off the air, and if you watch our new newscast, you know that." Thoughts, 5 words or less.
What's wrong with librarians?
Oh, hail snow.
Not the crime, the cover-up. Her cardigan. Okay,
so good.
So first,
she addressed the librarian thing.
My mom was a librarian.
She said, I hate Grace's mom, but not librarians."
She did tweet that. You're right.
She's like, listen, I have no problem with librarians. She's just like, in my experience, they wear cardigans.
Yeah. Also, I love librarians too. She did go out of her way to tweet about the librarians. Is there like a librarian union thing where they come, if they hear their name, they're like, you can't talk about librarians like that and be quiet.
Librarians, if they hear anything, they get mad.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering about. She was afraid. We're all afraid of librarians.
I said, quiet.
Now, this is interesting. This whole story is very interesting to me because I watched it unfold. And to see the varying degrees of everybody slamming this not news anchor, she's a meteorologist, slamming her attire, which is bullshit in its own right. I get it that, like, depending on which show you work on, if your attire isn't appropriate, then maybe you and the executive producer can talk about that afterwards, whether or not that's okay, but never on air, so that's why people were so upset. But then people started to defend her when she was slammed on air, but then we actually see her in on this joke because this is a morning show, and if you're familiar with the show, the tone there is actually really fun, and I totally get that.
For decades, KTLA has been like the fun, crazy morning news show. It would be like if I gave Sam a cover-up and was like, oh, we've been getting emails.
Yeah.
Like, they do the morning meteorology report like every half hour. The truth about why she was wearing that particular dress is she had another dress that morning, but it was too busy pattern-wise and it gave them trouble. So this was her backup. And she was like, oh, I don't always wear the backup. I'm just going to grab the backup today, put it on. And you know what? I think it's because she's two-toned, where people were like, oh, I can't even handle that. She looks too damn good.
She does. She looks great.
They made a great point where it's like, you guys are in bed watching us. That's inappropriate. Like, people in the morning, you're in your pajamas.
So I am happy that people were quick to support her and say, hey, that's no way to humiliate someone. If you agree with someone's attire, you don't do that live. That's a discussion that perhaps you would have off air. So I'm just, even though this was a joke, I am glad that people were quick to make sure that
maybe it was like a weird thing, like a not quite a sensitive thing for the guy to call out. Maybe it would have been better, like her co-anchor or her
you
anchor,
have to be familiar with
to transcend that. But like, it's a morning show. You're trying new stuff. It's live. You've been doing it for,
And also now knowing it's a joke, it's very funny.
It is.
Because it really would be if Brett were just be like off camera and be like, Sam, just real quick.
Just take it.
That's so
and
funny.
the truth, they revealed at the end.
And because they're making light of the fact that, they're getting these ridiculous emails.
And they all brought out their phones at the end and did their own live streams of, afterwards, the fact that the news anchor is wearing shorts behind the desk and the female anchor is wearing like fluffy socks and not shoes. So like they all like come to work and they have wardrobe things that they do to get by. And hers was to have this backup, which if it's a backup, it's just hanging there. I'm not sure you ever, or how often you check in on that, but she tried her her very busy black and white pattern. I'm sure at moreade, which is when things on TV start looking like they're doing that
Turn
crazy.
into moray eels.
Yeah, they turn and they are poisonous, and that's why you can't wear them.
I also like, though, too, that it reminds us to remember, like, that sometimes you never really understand the full context of things. Because, we are quick on social media. Again, I'm glad that if this were, in fact, them calling her out and embarrassing her on live TV, I'm glad that people were supporting her. However, it does remind you to do your due diligence and make sure that you look at both sides. There's always two sides to the story, and then there's the truth. And I think it's important for people that are, so quick on their phone to kind of like take a moment, do a little bit of research before you react.
And I also like the network's perspective on it and the people involved's perspective, because a lot of times, even if there is an explanation and a context and it did make sense, a lot of times the networks are so quick to just apologize for everything, even if it wasn't necessarily their fault. And in the greater scheme of the discussion of what's appropriate on television, just their willingness in fear of losing sponsors and quickness to back down actually is a step back in our all getting to be like honest with each other on what's happening on television.
Yeah. All right, you guys, please share your thoughts below, and we'll see you next time on Pop Trigger.